Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and welcome. I'm very pleased to be joined by Diana Raine. Diana is a highly experienced hydrogen expert with over, I think, nearly 30 years experience in hydrogen, mainly, I guess, air products. But now, with many sort of hats, you're leading also a business called Hive Hydrogen, which is looking at some very interesting business models in the UK and Ireland. So, welcome, Diana. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Nice. So, as I said, highly experienced in hydrogen, and maybe we'll talk about your overall opinion of the sort of growth of the industry over the past sort of certainly 3 or 4 years. Must be exciting given your experience over 30 years. But maybe first we could just talk about Hive Hydrogen specifically and some of the actual sort of concrete work and you're doing around business models and developing some projects.
Yeah, so as you say, I've been working in hydrogen for a long time. Um, Hive Hydrogen actually is a very young company. We were only established 2 years ago, and we're a very small team, but collectively with more than 50 years experience in the hydrogen space. So over the previous years, we've been working on hydrogen projects and with companies trying to develop the hydrogen market. We've repeatedly come up against situations where there is some sort of gap in the value chain, and projects really stumble if you're not able to kind of present a coherent fully value chained project. So there's a couple of projects where Hive have stepped in to plug those gaps, so that I can give you some examples of the type of thing that we're doing. One is a project called HISAS, which is hydrogen storage as a service. And we're working with a number of other UK partners. This project is funded by Innovate UK. And we're really looking at how we can strip out cost and present new business models into the delivery and storage of hydrogen. So over the last number of decades, really, lots of focus has gone into the hydrogen production side and also into development of technologies to use hydrogen, but very little innovation or different thinking has gone into how we take the molecule from the production site to the end use or to the end user. So hydrogen storage as a service is all about that piece. What can we do to look at monitoring at an individual cylinder level the operational life, what that cylinder goes through while it's in service? What kind of data can we draw from that? And then how can we intelligently interpret that data to maximize the life of the cylinder and to ensure that all the safety protocols are met, or even is there a potential to extend the life of that cylinder? So all of that information then feeds into potentially or creates the opportunity for potentially different types of business models in this space. So that's what that project is all about. Ultimately, can we reduce the levelized cost of hydrogen to the end user, make the overall business case for a particular project viable, really? So Hive have stepped in to try to bring a fresh pair of eyes to that particular part of the value chain.
Yeah.
And the other project, which is an example of the type of position Hive is taking, is a new project, not yet announced, but a project where we've been awarded funding as part of a consortium, been awarded funding by the Clean Hydrogen Partnership. And this project will deliver Ireland's first hydrogen valley, located in Galway. So here we have a number of consortium partners providing different roles within the project. The project will produce green hydrogen, and we'll have a number of users, an industrial use and a number of mobility users. So again, in this scenario, Hive has stepped in to be a vehicle aggregator within the project. So we'll be providing the vehicles to the end users to be able to experience and to put into operation within their normal use case. So rather than the individual users themselves investing in a number of vehicles, we will be consolidating them and making them available at set times. So I think we are trying to, just as I say, bring a different way of looking at the problem that we sometimes see, the barriers we sometimes see when we're trying to put together all the different parts of the jigsaw that makes up a hydrogen project.
Yeah, yeah, excellent. I can see sort of the real value, I guess, being generated from both of those approaches, both in terms of obviously safety and guaranteeing, safe cylinders, and also obviously, I guess, helping smooth the cost curve, or adopting a different business model where you're taking the risk of the vehicles and allowing the user to use vehicles, but not obviously make the investment themselves. In terms of obviously, I think you're going to be speaking at the forthcoming World Hydrogen UK event. Obviously, have a lot of experience. You're based in the UK. What are your sort of overall thoughts around the landscape, particularly the regulatory landscape, and for the UK, is it investment grade? And are you seeing a resulting interest into different projects, and what is the sort of the UK landscape looking like for you?
Well, I think I'd say, I'm encouraged. There's more happened in the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years in the UK and in hydrogen generally than probably happened in the previous, 15. So
Yeah.
definitely moving in the right direction. I think, the UK has progressed dramatically in terms of policy and in terms of support mechanisms. And we're just beginning to see I guess some of those projects maturing, and we're seeing some movement in the right direction. I think the industry as a whole, my sense last year is that there was some slowing down. There was some cautiousness coming into play, and I think ultimately it's because projects are not maturing fast enough. We're not seeing the projects in the ground. We're not seeing those reference projects in play, and that's really, I think, something that globally we need to start happening. We need to speed up, and we need to remove the barriers that are slowing us down. But the global context around high interest rates, energy security concerns, that I think has perhaps we haven't dipped in hydrogen, but the general pace, I think, slowed last year. So I think it's really positive that I think at the end of last year we've seen some of the announcements around pretty large scale projects in the UK, and moving towards reaching the UK targets in 2025 and 2030, and then the announcement around the second round of hydrogen business model in the last couple of weeks. So that's all really positive, but ultimately we need to see projects, we need to see that they're real, and they need to get through FID, get into the delivery phase, and start generating the hydrogen. I think the other point though is that we do need to see the environment for off takers to be able to commit to those long-term contracts. And I do think that's perhaps one of the things that's contributed to some of the slowing down last year as well. So we need to be supporting the offtake in the same way as we're supporting hydrogen production.
Yeah, supporting the demand side. I mean, in terms of the slowing down, I mean, there was a huge amount of interest, or bubble or interest, I guess, sort of 3 or 4 years ago. I wouldn't. My perspective, I'd say, okay, things are proceeding, but they're proceeding more slowly than people expected. So I guess it's a slowing down in expectations. But I think these are complex projects, and they're going to take time, particularly because you have to also shore up the demand side. It's not like when they launched the renewable electricity industry, you had a ready body of buyers and grid to plug the electrons in. So I do think people maybe need to be a bit more patient and understand that it takes time. But what are your thoughts around the sheer complexity, I mean, of the landscape? Because you're dealing with essentially also new technology on the production side.
Oh yeah, I mean, completely get that. I'm not hopefully not being negative or anything around hydrogen. I really do think that this will happen.
Mm.
These projects will, some of them will go by the wayside for sure, but we will have significant projects and at scale. But you're right that they're highly complex and quite often first of a kind in many cases. You've got the complexity of the conversion to hydrogen in some instances in industrial processes. That's not necessarily straightforward. That there may be some instances where you can switch grey hydrogen out, put green hydrogen in, but there are many where you will require adjustments to the process or to the technology that is part of the overall system. So they're not straightforward. I think there is a recognition now that we need to be moving as we scale. We need to be moving to standard plants as well. In all, you get twofold benefit there. You get the cost benefit of having standard designs, but you also get the ability to speed up because you're not doing first of a kind every time, and your potential for compressing that time for delivery of a project is much improved. So it is a challenge, and we are in a complex space. I was in a conference a few weeks ago, and we were talking about these challenges, and one of the things that came out was this concept of or this phrase that perfection is the enemy of the good, and I think it really applies in hydrogen in some ways, because I think we constantly look for the end goal and look for that perfection, but I think given where we are and talking about slowing down, we need to keep that momentum, and sometimes we need to not necessarily compromise, but recognize that a first project may not give us everything that we need, but it's going to give us a lot of learnings, and we need the importance of actually delivering in order to move to the next scale and to get closer to perfection, if you like.
Yeah, definitely. I think I wholeheartedly agree with that. You have to learn by doing, I guess,
Yeah.
is my synopsis of that. Well, fascinating to talk to Diana. As I mentioned, you're going to be speaking, one of our many expert speakers at World Hydrogen UK, which is 9th, 10th, and 11th, I think, of April in London. So we look forward to seeing you face to face there and learning from your insight and experience. So many thanks, Diana, and good luck with your projects. We look forward to seeing the announcement from Ireland.
Fantastic. Thanks a lot.
Cheers. Bye bye.